In Portland, Oregon, near where we are, there's a saying, if you want to finish something, just put a bird on it. But what we know is that you really can put a butterfly on it.
And we have layering butterfly stamps with matching cutting dies and a butterfly window cutting die.
And wait till you see what the design team has done with them. Come play with us. And here they are. I have to tell you, these are some of my very favorite projects that we've done.
They are beautiful. We've got the layering butterflies, 20 silicone stamps so that you can get these beautiful layered butterfly effects.
And they're beautiful by themselves.
They are. And then you have matching cutting dies, so no fussy cutting of those, which is fantastic.
And of course, we always give you ideas on the back of the packaging, and some of these you may be seeing today.
Right.
In addition to those fluttering butterflies, we have a really new look in cutting dies, which is this window. And it's really hard to see in the die, so let me turn this over and you'll see a project, and we probably have that project.
And we will show you this, you know, how it works with the card, but the thing I want to point out, this cuts out a window in your cardstock. So the outer edge of the cardstock, that's going to stay there, and it's just going to cut out that center area. So beautiful.
Okay, so that's our introduction. So now we're going to get into projects.
Let's
so
do
the
that.
first is using the layering butterflies, stamp and cutting dies.
And this is such a beautiful look. And I want you to lift those wings on there because we can, because we stamped underneath, we stamped on that cardstock, then we stamped and cut out another piece to put on top, and you can do that with the cutting dies. But before we move on with that, I do want to show you the really simple process here, and I'm sure you've seen these layering pieces before. With the layering stamps, you're going to get 3 images for each one of these. You're going to stamp the base in the lightest color. You're going to stamp the next piece with lots of beautiful outline details in a little bit darker color, and then you stamp filling in those details with the 3rd color. So very simple, just a 1, 2, 3 process. But what's great about these is that we also have the cutting dies. So after you stamp that piece, I'm going to turn this over, then you can die cut it. And then you have this separate piece. Really beautiful.
So it just makes it super easy, and then you can concentrate on, gee, what techniques are you going to use? Like this one has the gold pieces there. And with the stamp, you do have some solid butterflies also, as well as some greetings. So perfect.
And in order to stamp that layered stamp, this time I'm using the Tim Holtz stamp platform, because with layering stamps, it's so much easier if you're going to use one of the stamp platforms. And I've got, it's all kind of messed up because we use it a lot. This is the Blues pigment set, so it's got all of the different hues, the different shades of colors you're going to be using.
And those cat's eyes like that in the solid colors, in the blues, the red, so forth, they are exclusive to Paper Wishes, so you can't find them other places.
So that's a super nice feature. I've got my butterfly on here already, and I'm just going to ink it up, and I'll show you what I love about the stamp platform. Is I'm going to stamp that butterfly, and when I pick it up, if I look at it and I see any imperfections, like it didn't get stamped entirely in a few areas, I can just go back to that stamp and do it again. And I can do this as many times as I want because that stamp is not moving.
So it makes it no fail, doesn't it?
Right. So you can just, I especially like doing that with a greeting. You get this big, beautiful card done, and then you go to stamp the greeting, and you mess it up. So this is perfect. So anyway, that's layer number 1. Then I'm going to remove that one, get that out of the way. And the next layer is going to be with that beautiful outline. And I can line that right up on the stamp. So let me just take a second to line up the edges, and that's what's great about having the clear silicone. You can look right through it, and you know exactly where you're going to place that. I pick it up and I do my next layer, and because I have all of these different colors, I can choose whatever I want. So for this particular butterfly, the next layer was done in kind of a darker color blue. And then the last layer was done using Versamark and then dusting with gold embossing powder.
That's where that beautiful gold came from.
So you've got that, and the last layer is going to be using just this detail stamp. You're going to line it up, and after that's all done, with this last layer, use Versamark and then dust it with embossing powder, and you've got that beautiful gold on there. Now I think on this particular card, the stamp that was done underneath, she didn't add the gold underneath. She just did those 2 layers. Then she did one of these, And then with those great cutting dies, she just matched up those edges. And I would use like a stencil tape to go ahead and die cut that. And then you have the piece where you can put that on there. You can lift up those wings a little bit.
So it's cutting right next to that stamped edge. And on the inside of the card, there too, you can use one of the other butterflies. Same technique. It is layered and it uses the gold. We've also used the metallic gold paper as a really nice accent, and then also have the greeting in with the Versamark.
And I love those greetings. The greetings they're fun. They fit those butterflies. Sending best wishes your way. And some of the other ones, one of my favorites is You Make My Heart Flutter. And so that's just really sweet.
Okay, so moving on, we have a very different look right here, and we'll need to get in close so that you can see it. Of course, in person it's very evident,
but look at that.
Okay, so there is a stamped layer or two,
right.
But then that top layer is out of something else.
Okay, so there are actually 3 stamped layers, and that base layer was put on with a really, really pale blue, so you've got that background, a little bit darker, and then darkest for those details, the detail stamped layer. But then on top, you've got this beautiful butterfly glittery image, and that was done with the clear glitter sheets. So here's just a little piece. Clear glitter sheets come pretty good size, 8.5 by 11, I think, and several sheets in a package. But you've got this, it's self-adhesive, and I want to tell you the way it was done, but I also want to mention I think there's probably 2 ways to do this. For this example, I'm going to peel off the glitter sheet, which I usually get that ready so you don't have to see me struggling. Okay, peel off it's me, it's not the glitter sheet. I always have trouble doing this stuff because I don't have
a retractable pen knife is helpful.
Yeah, okay, I didn't want to have to resort to that. Unless, do you want to take it off?
Sure.
You do it.
Okay.
So we've got that, and I have one of the detail cutting dies. So this is the piece that's going to cut out the centers of the wings, etc., and it's going to have a beautiful look. I'm so glad it's not just me. But okay, a retractable.
Here we go. No, I've got it.
There we go.
There we go.
Thank you.
So you want this off, huh?
I want that off. So I'm going to take that off. This is what was done for this card, and then it was placed on acetate. So then you don't have that sticky back, and it kind of makes it easy to work with. Now, I want to suggest that this could also be done just by cutting this without putting it on acetate and then removing the backing and sticking it to your project. In this case, it was done with the acetate, and the important part here is that when you want to cut through something that's a little bit plasticky, like the glitter adhesive, it is kind of plasticky, then you're going to want to use the precision base plate.
It's a metal plate.
It's a metal plate, so it makes those cutting dies really cut through. So with your Big Shot machine, you've got your 2 plates. I'm going to remove one of the plates. So my base plate is going to be the precision base plate, and then whatever I'm cutting, and then goes the cutting die with the cutting blades facing the precision base plate. So it's going to be pressed up against that metal, and it's going to make a nice clean cut, and you don't have to worry about it not going all the way through. And you know, later on this month, I think we're going to have a webisode about cutting dies, and it gives all sorts of great tips
we absolutely
about
are.
this exactly. I highly recommend it. Okay, so we pull that off, and there it is, this beautiful butterfly. It's backed now on that acetate, and you start pulling out these pieces, and then you can glue that. Now, one of the reasons that I did show it to you with an acetate, even though you could just use the glitter sheet and peel off the back and then stick it on here,
right.
If you do it this way, you can zod it right in the middle and lift the wings on it.
Right.
So that's another idea. With the acetate on the back of there, you can do that.
Okay, good to know. So we also have a little hello right there and another one on the inside. And I always like that the inside is coordinating with the front. So beautiful, sending best wishes your way. Okay, now we have more. And speaking of acetate. This is the heat-resistant acetate,
Right.
one of the most popular items from Paper Wishes.
So
and
we've just got the Wow super fine gold embossing powder on there, and that works perfectly on there. And I love just stamping that #1 stamp base on the background so that you can see through.
it just
that
gives it
beautiful pink.
that perfect shadow.
Right.
And again, with the gold heat embossing, just absolutely beautiful. And just want to point out those shadows again, that
Right.
they just add a really nice look.
It's always great to have something a little smaller. Different sizes of things on one card is really
Right.
going to keep your attention.
I also like that this is on the paper that has some text on it as well
Yeah.
as stripes. Just really pretty. And a fun panel on the inside with a
Right.
torn bottom
And
edge.
you always have those extra greetings there, so it fit on
Yeah.
the front and on the inside, so that's nice.
And there's more.
Okay, one more, and this is just a really beautiful card. It's a unique design. Let me show you what that is right away. So this starts with cardstock, and what you can't see, I'm going to try to make it so that you can here, is that in white we have embossed butterflies all over this. So it is covered with embossed butterflies, heat embossed with the white embossing powder. And now I'm going to get out my distress inks, and this is set #1. And you can just start adding beautiful haloed ink images around those butterflies and just watch them pop out. So I'm just going to start rubbing, and I always do it sort of in a circular motion so that I won't get sharp lines.
And you can use the sponge or the blending tool. Either
Right.
way works well.
Right. And a little pink. Oh, I can go in and add some yellow on another one. And that's how Debbie did it. And just you can blend those colors together where they meet. But you can just watch those. Afterwards, I would take a wipe or maybe a damp paper towel and wipe off the embossing to get the ink off of it.
So that's creating the background, but then this strip is holding one more that has been layered in the stamping, just as we talked about.
Right. But that's kind of the nice thing about that stamp set is that at least one of those layers is already done. You don't have to do any layering with these if you choose not to. You can just stamp those butterflies. But having that layering possibility is just fun.
I thought it was interesting that they used the shadow one, that solid
Right.
#1, on the inside, so more with that
Right. That's
technique.
a fun look too.
Yes. Now we have our second piece, and this
That's our
is
butterfly
yes.
window cutting die.
Okay,
going
look
into that.
Look at this. How beautiful! You can turn it any which way.
So this is just a simple. This is a simple way to show you. Here is what the cutting die does.
Yes, and this is out of the silver linen, which is one of the
Right.
design team's very favorite.
So
But you
by
can
the way, this is not a card, by the way. This
Right.
is not something you're going to see in the gallery. This
It's
is just
separate.
showing you. There you go.
And we do have it on the black suede because that silver and black is just striking. Now this is using just the big die by itself, not the extra pieces. And as you can see, there is a duplicate of this butterfly, a smaller one, and then also a corner. So
So you can get a shadow behind
Yeah.
that butterfly and little extra embellishments.
now you can leave it like this. Gosh, this is just perfect.
It
Popped
is.
on the front of a
Ready
card.
to go and simple.
However, this is what was done. So actually just cutting around it and putting this on a card and letting that be a shaped card.
Right,
Really
and
pretty.
that's really pretty too. So I can keep the fold up at the top. It was not entirely cut off, so you
There it
actually do have something that you can open it with. It was backed with the suede, and I do think that's beautiful.
Right.
And
a little bit of dazzles right there.
Right. So really not much more that you had to do with that.
Now
and
the-
I do like that she was able to use those corner dazzles, those corner cutting die pieces for the inside as well.
So let me go back to that. There you go. Just a little accent on
That's
each
fun.
side, and this is out of the suede paper also. I'm not sure if you can tell the difference, but this is navy and this is black.
Yeah, they're
so
pretty similar.
sometimes on camera you can't tell the difference, but in person we can.
You know, with this one, we added the tiny words and
Yeah.
phrases, dazzles with that, which has the little heart and it has some extra sayings. But
Sweet.
I want to go back and add dazzles to this. I want to add silver jewel dazzles or blue or something.
Okay, well, we're going to move on while Gail is reminiscing about what she wants to do. Okay, here is another
Like
one.
that.
Now, this is really different because this again is using acetate.
It is using acetate.
In a surprise way.
And it's just on the center there as well. You can see that is cut out. Here's the window cut out. The rest of the card, the acetate continues out to the edge, so you can see that. But it's also been colored, and let's see, Susan did that one, and so I'm getting it set up over here. So I have that acetate piece, and I put it on a piece of white paper here. I'm not sure where you're going to be able to see it best, here or here.
Does it probably doesn't work on
well,
a dark color, does it?
I have to get it all inky, so we don't want to put it on the suede. But let me put it on the paper here, and what I'm going to get out are the Spectrum Noir re-inkers. So I've got a few of those, and something, this was done really pretty simply by Susan, and she said she started by opening the re-inkers. If you're not familiar with these are used to fill up the Spectrum Noir pens.
And more importantly, they're back in stock. They have been
wonderful.
out of stock for most of the year, but they're back.
Yay!
And they do come with the eyedroppers that you're using.
And here's how you can use them. And she just put a few drops of them here and there, just barely touched it.
And you're on the acetate, right?
I'm on the acetate, and it's getting soaked into the paper underneath it as well. But I'm going to add a little of the purple and a little of the pink. And then she said she just went around with a sponge and sort of dabbed at it to mix those colors. Now, you're going to see, this looks like a mess.
Yes, it does, Gail.
But I'm going to take it off the paper, and then you're going to see what it or move it over. You can see what it does. It starts to move it around, and you can do the same thing on the edges. You can also put the ink right onto this sponge and just sort of move it around like that. And if you want to move it around a little more, get a little rubbing alcohol and add that.
Or the blending solution, too.
Right, the blending solution works great.
So then you would turn that over and put it onto the card?
Actually, I think I just did it backwards. I think she did it right on the front of the, the acetate like that.
And I like the blue around the edge.
You can do it either way. You can do it that way or...
Nice. And so then this goes on top of pattern paper, and you can tell it's a really lightly patterned paper. This is painted lace probably.
Yes.
And the acetate on the edge has some border dazzles. Now, how to attach that acetate? Well, you can use the vellum adhesive, because that's translucent, or you can use the extra sticky tape, which is also translucent. We've got some dazzles right in there.
I love having
really
options.
Pretty. Yes. Yeah. And then on the inside, doing some of the little guys out of the acetate. So really, really pretty.
So that's a really unique way of using it. I wouldn't have thought of that. I'm sure I wouldn't have.
No, I wouldn't either. Another way is how fun to make these into a shaker card. And you know how popular shaker cards are. But our window is right in the front. It's been out of black cardstock.
Right.
And it's simply attached to the paper.
Well, let me show you the process.
Good.
There is kind of an easy way to do this, as long as you know which thing to do first. So Debbie started by covering her card. She actually covered her card with the two papers that she wanted to be in the background. Then she took this, and she did not use this to cut out the center. She used this to trace around that outer edge, because we're going to hide that edge behind the frame of the cutting die. So trace around it with a pencil, cut out just inside that traced line. So now we're going to move that, and we're only cutting out the front of the card. And the next thing we're going to do is cut out the frame on a piece of black cardstock. Now, when I attached this paper, I used the repositional adhesive dots. They look like this, and they make it really easy to put on the back of this green paper so that I could remove it again, because I want this piece to be in between. Now, I also backed this with acetate. So now this is ready to create the front part of that shaker card. I'm going to put it in place, and then I'm going to glue this back down permanently, so I've got that, that beautiful frame popping out in between, and I've got the acetate. Now I have to turn it over this way to add the pieces that will create the shaker card. Now I've got the adhesive sticky backed foam paper. So it's foam on one side, it's got a sticky back, and I'm going to take those, remove one of those pieces, one of those sticky backs like that, and I'm going to put these together. I'm just going to line up the edges.
So you want a double layer?
So you want a double layer.
Okay.
It makes a much better shaker card when you have a double layer. Line up those edges, and then I went ahead and traced the window of this cutout on the card onto that. You go ahead and cut that out. Then you'll be able to remove the adhesive and place it on the back here.
Ah.
Put a piece of paper, put in your, sprinkle in your sprinkles.
Yes.
Put paper covering it.
Get those sequins in
and
there
you've got
before
a shaker
you.
card.
Okay, so
Right.
it's all confined with the front of the card. So, and then you just want to do something, put some paper there.
Right.
And you can see that that's just working really, really nicely. So,
It is beautiful.
very fun. I also like this on the black. I think that it really makes it fun to see all the colors on the inside.
Right, it doesn't compete with the colors
Right.
of
And
the sequins.
again, those corners right there
Right.
with some other dazzles, really
So,
pretty.
lots of different ways
Yes.
to use these. Now, I would not stop there. I would definitely be able to use them on scrapbooking pages.
Oh, absolutely.
The butterflies in particular, you can just see them all over your scrapbooking
Well-
pages. And, oh, hey, you could take this.
Yes.
You could take that, and that could be a picture behind that butterfly oval.
How pretty that
Very
would be.
easy. That
yes.
would be great.
Lots,
I wish I'd done it now.
Lots of lots of uses, lots of ways with our matching layering and then our butterfly window. And we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Bye-bye.